So what all you want me to explain from the beginning? See, from the beginning and everything, I don't know, I'll try, but what I feel is, should I explain like this, everything, whatever notes is there, that way, or you want the concepts?
Concepts, ma'am.
Is the concept of sequence clear for everybody? What
No,
is a
ma'am.
sequence? No?
No, ma'am.
Okay, tell me, in your terms, tell me what is that you understood. Sequence. What is sequence?
Collection of terms where every term is related to each other.
Every collection of terms or collection of numbers where there is certain pattern. Okay. So if I say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, can I call it to be a sequence?
Yes.
If I say 3, 6, 9, 12, and so on, will it be a sequence?
Yes, ma'am.
So I call a sequence. Sequence is nothing but a function defined from set of all natural numbers to a particular function. Like if I say x mapping to f of x for all x belonging to n, then I call that to be a sequence. Okay. If I have a function like this, suppose I have a function f defined from x to 2x, right? For all x belonging to n, right? Then this set, whatever I have for x is equal to 1, for x is equal to 2, for x is equal to 3, 4, and 5. X is 1. What is the mapping that I have? 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. This set of numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on, right? If it goes on, this also goes on. I call this to be a sequence. It is denoted by this, or it can be expressed like this. Is that clear? For every one, for n equal to 1, this is the first term. For n equal to 2, this is the second term. For n equal to 3, for n equal to 4, then equal to 5, and so on. These are my terms in the sequence. Is that clear? So if I suppose have a function defined for every x here, if it is x square, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then it will be 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, and so on. How is x? X is belonging to n. So every f of x where I have f of x as 1, 4, 9, 16, 25 is known as a sequence. For every n belonging to n, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, if I have 1 by n, that means 1, 1 by 2, 1 by 3, 1 by 4, 1 by 5, and so on. So for f being a mapping, right, if f is a mapping from set of all natural numbers, if f is a mapping, right, from set of all natural numbers to any other defined set as f of n, then the elements that are there, then the elements that have been produced with respect to this f of n is known as a sequence. Is that clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if I say if it is a sequence, yeah, that is how you call it a sequence. Now I call it sequence as a set of all natural numbers is a sequence, set of all real numbers is a sequence, set of all odd integers is a sequence, right? So I can have any sequence need not be a finite set. It can be an infinite set also. Okay. So if a function f from n to any real number r is defined as a sequence, if for each n belonging to n there is a unique f of n belonging to R, then I call the sequence to be a, and then I call all those f of n's as the terms in my collection, and that collection is known as sequence. I gave the examples of 1 by n square, minus 1 whole power 1 by n, 3n plus 1 by 7n minus 4. We substituted n equal to 1, 2, 3, and then we found all the terms. These are the terms in my sequence. Okay, the first one is called the first term, second term is called the second term, anything like that. Is that clear, Ganesh?
Yes, ma'am, it's clear, ma'am.
Okay. So a sequence need not be like only 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, sequence can be set of all even integers. Sequence can be set of all odd multiples of natural numbers. Sequence can be sequence can be n square as n is odd, n cube as n is even. So when I substitute n as even number and odd number, I will get 1, 8, 9, 64, 25. But still I observe that there is a pattern here. So this is known as a collection of terms being defined with respect to a certain function n square and n cube. Am I clear now? Like this, we can write for cos n cube, cos n pi by 3, and so on. So I asked you to write for n equal to 1, what will be an, bn, cn plus 1, all these are our sequences. Is that clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is about sequences. Now, what else you want? You want me to tell about upper bound and lower bound?
Yes, ma'am.
So if I talk about upper bound and lower bound, right? Before I talk about upper bound and lower bound, suppose let us say I have a set S and E is a subset of S. Okay. So if I have, instead of giving you this definition, I want to tell you with the example that I already had. Let S be set of all real numbers and E I considered it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So what is the maximum element that you are observing in the set? 5. What is the minimum element that you are observing in the set? 1. Where is your E actually belonging to? My E is actually contained in R, right? R is set of all real numbers. So I will call this set to be, where this 5 to be an upper bound and 1 to be a lower bound. Okay, for this set E. Okay, for this set E, I call 1 to be lower bound and 1 to be the upper bound. Okay, now when I say this is my upper bound, 5 is upper bound, any number greater than 5 will also be an upper bound for my E. Is that clear? So how many numbers like that will be an upper bound for E? Any number greater than 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I can say you can have any number greater than 5. I can say 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, 5.5, and so on are also upper bounds for the set E. Why did I choose 5.1, 5.2, 5.3? Because my set is real numbers. If this set was natural numbers, then it's a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 are all our upper bounds for the given set E. Okay, so it depends upon whatever is your superset. Okay. If 1 is a lower bound, then any number less than 1 is also lower bound. 0 is a lower bound because 0 belongs to R. Minus 1 is a lower bound because minus 1 belongs to R. So I have any number that I consider here, if it belongs to R, then that any number less than 1 will also be a lower bound. Okay. And when I said this is the lower bound, right? This is the lower bound. Any number less than that. Suppose I say 1 is a lower bound. Okay. And 5 is the upper bound. If 5 is upper bound, any number greater than 5 is upper bound. Right? If 5 is upper bound, any number greater than 5 is upper bound. That means among all upper bounds, is 5 least one? Because I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yes, ma'am.
Is my 5 least one? Yes.
Yes.
So I call it the least upper bound. Okay. Among all these numbers, I have 0, minus 1, and so on. As my numbers are decreasing this way, among all the least bounds that I have, is my 1 the greatest upper bound? Yes,
Yes,
or no? Of all the numbers that we have, 1 is the greatest upper bound. Therefore, I call the element that belongs to the set to be the greatest lower bound and the least upper bound. Okay. So this is about the lower bound and upper bound. Okay. Is that clear till here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. That is what I explained here, everything. And one more thing that I want to make it clear is, here I don't have, just a minute, I just want to take one call. ఓకే, నేను మళ్ళీ మాట్లాడతా, క్లాస్లో ఉన్నాను. సరే సరే. Yeah. So yes, so I have this as this one is belonging to my set E, but all these numbers are not belonging to the set E. Okay, that's what I said here in my thing. Whichever numbers are not belonging to set E, that is our U dash. Okay, U dash belonging to S and U is belonging to our E. This is what is about the upper bound and lower bounds, and the greatest upper bound, lower bound. The greatest lower bound is known as infimum, and the least upper bound is known as supremum. I will call them to be LUB and GUB. Okay, these are the definitions and the examples. You want me to explain the example? If X is belonging to R and 0 is less than or equal to X less than or equal to 1. Okay, so I have X less than or equal to 1. I observe that my set is between 0 and 1. So I will have 1, which is my maximum value as I've been observing in my set, and 1 is belonging to E, and 1 will be the least upper bound. Therefore, I call it to be supremum. And if this is infimum, if I have 0, this is my infimum is 0, though this does not belong to the set. Okay, though our E does not belong to the set, still it can obey the that's how the definition of an infimum is defined. Infimum or greatest upper bound need not be in the set. Okay, so these are all the examples of this. Next one is, when do you call a set to be a bounded above set and a bounded below set? Set of all natural numbers. I say 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. So set of all natural numbers is 1, 2, 3 and so on. So I call this to be a bounded below set. Why? Because I have the lower bound as 1 here. I don't have it to be a upper bound. Okay. Yeah. This set can we mention that this set as a this set is bounded above or bounded below? No, because I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and so on. It is increasing. It is not bounded above. If I talk about
Ma'am, in the above question, no. X square question. Infimum is -2, right? Okay. Yeah, this one. Yeah, this one only. That day when I asked you that question, you said once find it out. So the set will be -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, right? So the infimum is -2, right?
Check again. What will be the infimum here?
-2. -2. X square should be between 1 and 4, but X is the set, right? So the set will be -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. So the infimum is -2.
Right.
Okay.
Correct. Okay. So this is how we are going to, this is not bounded above. Among all the least bounds, what could be the greatest lower bound? I have 1, 1 by 3, 1 by 5, 1 by 7 and so on. So what could be the least bounds? 1 by n, as n tends to infinity, what is the maximum value that it takes? 0. Isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So when I have 0, then what is 0? 0 is nothing but the greatest of all the lower bounds. So I will have a least bound here, which is our greatest lower bound as 0. Okay. Anyway, finite sets, I think it is clear about the finite sets. Anything else you want here? Is this clear? Bounded above, bounded below?
Ma'am, could you take another example and explain bounded above and bounded below?
These examples? R belongs to Q, 0 is not. Yeah. Somebody was talking. 0 less than or equal to R less than or equal to root 2 is bounded above and it is bounded below by. R is between 0 and root 2. What is the maximum value for which it belongs? What is the maximum value in this set which can be an upper bound? Root 2. What is the maximum? What I will say, what is the best value that it would be possible to suit in this particular set to be a lower bound? 0. So infimum is 0 and supremum is root 2. Okay.
This is fine, ma'am. Like the one we did, the x square sum, that once can you explain with another example?
Where is my x square problem? See this one. Your problem is why did I take 1 by n even though it does not belong to the set, isn't it? Is this the problem? Or where is my x square? Just a minute. I'll just go into it. This one?
Yes, ma'am.
You take, suppose I take 1 less or equal to x cube less than 9. What will it be? For all x belonging to Q. How will you consider? I'll say I have 1 less than x cube less than 9. So what are for all x belonging to Q? So what is my set that will be there in this particular thing? So that it falls under this, this condition. So tell me what will be the elements here? What elements will you have as x for this one? X cube is less than 9. So x is less than
3.
3. So I have x less than 3 here and x cube is greater than 1. And x cube is greater than 1. That means what all values can it take here? X is greater than 1 power 1 by 3. What is 1 power 1 by 3 if I take cube root on both sides? 1 power 1 by 3 will it be 1 or anything else? 1. So I have x greater than 1 and x less than 3. Yeah.
X less than 3, how is x cube? No, ma'am. The question should be either be 1 less than x cube
27.
than
Okay, I'll
27.
take it 27. Yeah, I'll take 27. That's better. Yeah, otherwise it will be 9 power 1 by 3.
Yes,
And don't want to get, yeah, we'll take x power 27. So x is less than 3. So x is greater than 1 and x is less than 3. And all the values of x for which 1 is less than, x is less than 3 will fall under this condition. So what are my maximum, what is my infimum and supremum here? Infimum is 1, supremum is Q, which does not belong to this set. If I name it as it does not belong to S, but definitely they belong to my Q. Therefore, my infimum is 1 and supremum is 3. Is that clear now?
Yes.
Ganesh?
Yes, ma'am. I'm understanding it little, ma'am.
You're understanding it now. You have to identify the relation, how it goes. I gave this as a simple problem. If you want to put less than or equal to, then I can also have this. Still, it will hold that if this supremum will belong to the set, but infimum does not belong to the set. If I put both, then both infimum and supremum will belong to the set. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. When do you say a sequence Sn is bounded above? When do you say a sequence Sn is bounded above?
When the set is containing the elements which are greater than the supremum.
So can I define as Sn less than or equal to k for all k belonging to R?
Yes.
Yes. If it is bounded above, then Sn is less than or equal to k. If it is bounded below,
Sn is greater than or equal
Greater
to
than or equal to k.
yeah. Okay. So this is about the upper bounds and lower bounds and anything else here in this state. Convergence. Next comes convergence. What is convergent? What is a convergent sequence? What is the general meaning of convergence?
when a sequence has a limit, it is meant to be convergent.
If all the numbers in the
Can you explain
sequence,
about bounded above, ma'am?
who is that talking?
Ma'am, this one, ma'am, like, what is the exact meaning, ma'am? Like, if in the set, if all the numbers are more than upper bound, then they're said to be bounded above.
One
Yes.
second. It is not the same thing for any set. You can have varieties of sets. You should understand the concept of bounded aboveness first. Okay. You take one set, that set has a different condition. If you take another set, that set will have another condition. So bounded above means, okay, if I say bounded above, in simple terms, I can say a bounded above as all the terms in my Sn are less than or equal to some other term, all the terms Sn less than or equal to k, where k belongs to the particular set. Okay. Sn greater than or equal to k, then I call the set to be, the sequence is said to be not set. The sequence is said to be bounded below. Is that clear?
Okay, ma'am.
I didn't understand what was your specific doubt though. What is that you wanted to ask?
Yeah, this one only, ma'am. Like,
Okay. So what is a convergent sequence? If I have a sequence of real numbers, they are said to converge to a real number. If for epsilon greater than 0, there exists a natural number n such that mod Sn minus s is less than epsilon. What does this mean? The very important thing that you should understand is this one. For all n greater than or equal to n, right? For all n greater than or equal to n, mod s minus s will be less than epsilon. So I want to find we want to find what is that particular value of n for which my condition mod s minus s will be less than epsilon. Okay, so I have my Sn converges to S, that means limit Sn is equal to S. That means mod Sn minus S is less than epsilon for all n greater than equal to n and epsilon greater than 0. Or I will say mod Sn minus S is less than epsilon. That means S minus epsilon is less than Sn less than S plus epsilon. So I have this thing. If you have mod Sn minus S less than epsilon, that means there is some epsilon greater than 0 for which there exists a natural number n where my n is greater than or equal to n, right? And n value depends upon the value of epsilon. If you increase n, epsilon will decrease. If you increase n, epsilon will be very small. If your epsilon is increasing, then your n value keeps on decreasing. Okay.
Ma'am, here what is epsilon, ma'am?
Epsilon is any positive quantity which is greater than 0. It can be any positive quantity which can be greater than 0.
Okay.
Yeah, see here. I will explain only one problem in detail. I want you to understand all the other problems goes in that way. Suppose I have Sn, I have to prove that limit Sn is 2 by 5 for Sn is equal to 2n plus 3 by 5n minus 1. So I calculate, normally how do we calculate our, using the normal mathematical solving? I will take out n common and then I'll apply limit as n tends to infinity. 1 by n tends to 0, therefore 3 by n tends to 0 and 1 by n tends to 0. right? So I will observe that it is 0 and my value is 2 by 5. Now, if I want to talk about it in a in this way, so how will I go about it, right? So for epsilon greater than 0, there exists a natural number n, where n is greater than or equal to n implies mod mod Sn minus s must be less than epsilon. It is absolutely through observation. If you say, ma'am, how do you know that mod Sn minus s is less than epsilon? Why did you fix your s to be 2 by 5? Okay, please don't think like that. If you think like that, you have no mathematical analysis or theoretical proof for this set of problems. Okay, in analysis for that matter, you have to see, look around, identify, and then solve. If you say, why should I take 2 by 5? I will take some 3 by 5 and see. Don't you think it will converge to that point? Yes, absolutely, it will not converge to that point, because there is a lot of difference and there are thousands and lakhs of numbers which are lying between them, because we consider numbers as real numbers. So there are n number of numbers which lie there. So we have to analyze what is our n first normally mathematically, and then you will go about with the problem. So I have 2n plus 3 by 5 minus 1, assuming it to be converging to 2 by 5 less than epsilon. Okay, I will calculate the whole calculation and then say 17 by 5 into 5 minus 1 is less than epsilon. When I said this is less than epsilon, I want to find a particular value of n for which it is from where, not from which, from where my sequence Sn is converging to 2 by 5. So I made all my calculations here to find a particular value of n. Here I found one n where I had 17 by 25 epsilon plus 1 by 5. That means for n greater than this one, for n greater than 17 by 25 epsilon plus 1 by 5, my Sn is start converging to the point 2 by 5. Suppose my Sn is here, it is taking so many n values. What is the n value? 17 by 25 epsilon plus 1 by 5. After this particular term, it is starting to converge. After this particular term, it is starting to converge. Converge, it goes this way. It is starting to converge to 2 by 5. Okay. So here you are not proving that you are getting my answer. You are not getting your answer as 2 by 5. Here you are proving that after these n values, my Sn is starting to converge. Suppose we will say epsilon is equal to 1. What is the n value? Let's start. It is true for all epsilon greater than 0. If I consider epsilon greater than 1, so what is my n value? 0.88. It is starting to converge from this point. If epsilon is 0.1, my n is going to this. It is starting to converge from this particular point. Epsilon is the 0.2 at this point. Epsilon 0.01 this point. Epsilon 0.001. Are you observing that my n value is keeping on increasing as I decrease my epsilon? Epsilon is decreasing, n is keeping on increasing. So for n greater than or equal to 1, for n greater than or equal to 1, my sequence is converging like this. Okay. For n less than greater than or equal to 7, my sequence is converging to 2 by 5 at this rate of epsilon. For n greater than or equal to 4, the sequence Sn is converging to 2 by 5 for epsilon 0.2. Here it is epsilon greater than 0.2, or I can say epsilon greater than or equal to 0.2. For n greater than or equal to 69, my epsilon is converging. For this value of epsilon, it is keeping on decreasing. Please understand that we are not proving here, we are not proving analytically here. Analytical proof is take out your n common and simplify and say limit n tends to infinity and prove. Theoretical proof is from what values of n, right? And for what values of epsilon, these terms are converging to a certain limit is what we are trying to solve in sequences, finding the limits of the sequences. Is that clear?
Ma'am, the sum is clear, ma'am. Can you just explain the definition of convergence again, once again, ma'am?
Okay. You tell me what you understood in the sum. We will get back to the definition.
Ma'am, what I understood is, ma'am, there are like n greater than or equal to capital N, ma'am. So here, when we increase capital N, the epsilon value will decrease, And sorry, when you are increasing the value of small n, the epsilon value will decrease, and when we are decreasing the value of capital N, the epsilon value will be increasing. So here we are finding that particular value of small n from where the sequence starts converging towards Sn.
Perfect. Sequence starts converging to the point S, not Sn.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that is the definition. That itself is the definition. So
Ma'am,
here
but
I
how are you taking the limits, ma'am? You told something about the limits, no, ma'am. So I
Ma'am,
had
then
doubt
what
there.
is the SN, ma'am?
Sn is the nth term in the sequence.
Okay.
Sn is the nth term in the sequence. My sequence can converge from S2, S3, S4, S5, S6, S7, S8, S9 and S10. Okay. And I have my limit point here. Okay. I want to know from what value of n it is starting to go into 0. Suppose I have S1, S2, S3, S4, S5, and so on, S10. Okay, this is converging to S here, right? It is converging to this particular point S here, right? So I want to know for what values, from where, from which value of n, from which value of n, and for what epsilon, right? These terms started to converge. For example, I have 1 by 1, 1 by 1, 1 by 2, 1 by 3, 1 by 4, 1 by 5, and so on, right? I will say it will converge to 0. Okay, so can you tell me what will be my value of what for what Sn? Okay, for what Sn will I say it converges to 0? Suppose I say S100. Is there not S1000 which converges to 0 much faster than S100? Yes or no? My sequence is 1 by n here. I think you understood that. My sequence is 1 by n. Will 1 by 100 converge to 0 faster, or 1 by 1000 converges to 0 faster?
1 by 1000.
1 by 1000.
1 by 1000 or 1 by 10,000?
1 by
1 by
10,000.
10,000.
1 by
1
10,000
by
or 1 by 1
10,000.
lakh? 1 lakh, and so on, right? So I am
1 by 1
finding
lakh.
out, yeah, here I know that it is simple term 1 by n, so I will know, okay, there is certain very large value of n. For very large value of n, there is a difference between my term 1 by n and 0, which is still less than epsilon. Because as you increase you observed in the previous problem, if you keep on increasing n, epsilon is becoming smaller and smaller. When epsilon is becoming smaller and smaller, that means they are merging together. My Sn and S are merging together. They are coming very closer. Okay, so the distance between Sn and S must be less than epsilon. If you have very large values of n, they will almost be on the same point. Is that clear? Have you understood what I'm trying to tell you? See, I have 1 by n, my n is 1 lakh here. Okay, I'm considering my n to be 1 lakh. Minus 0 is less than epsilon. For n to be 1 lakh, what should be my epsilon? If you observe here in this problem, for n 6801, what is my epsilon? 0.001. If I call this n to be 1 lakh, then what is my epsilon? It could be 0.00000000001. So don't you think the difference between Sn and S will definitely, the difference between them is very, very, very close, and they fall on each other?
Yes, ma'am. It does.
Yes.
Yes. So that's how you are going to find the convergence of a sequence or the limit of a sequence like this. Is this clear now? I am open
Yes.
for any more doubts. If you have anything else that you want to pick it, I will explain again. Any doubts? Have you understood what I'm trying to tell?
Yes, ma'am.
I am trying to see or fit a value of capital N, right? Or fit a value of small n and an epsilon, so that the difference between the nth term and the limit is very small. When it is very small, then what will I say? Mod Sn minus S is less than epsilon. Epsilon is very small value. Can I say that Sn tends to S at this particular point of time? If this is to
Yes,
be
ma'am.
small, then I have to take it for very large values of n. I have to consider my n to be some very large quantity. Only then that will start converging. Best example for you to understand the convergence is 1 by n, because it is very simple to understand. Okay, see 1 by n square. N square also 1 by n square is less than epsilon. I found a value of n. So I have to choose one capital N which is greater than 1 by root epsilon, so that 1 by n square will be converging to 0 for a different. I didn't find epsilon values here, but for those different values of epsilon. That's why we are finding that particular value of n for which it will converge to 0 or it will converge to the limit. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts? Anybody?
So, ma'am, we can take epsilon as we can consider epsilon as a medium where we are finding the values of small n and capital N, so that they converge to a particular value of S. It is like a
Yes.
medium, ma'am,
Yes.
because you're comparing, you're considering epsilon is greater than 0 and you're taking the epsilon values.
Yes, but
Okay.
always in our case, what are we trying to do? Though I say epsilon is greater than 0, my epsilon is very small. Okay, why should it be very small? Because I want the difference between my Sn which is the nth term, minus the limit of that must be very small. Only then I can say my Sn is tending towards S. Otherwise, it is very difficult for me.
Yes,
Okay, so I always keep epsilon to be very small. It should be grounded, and my n can be any number n up to the sky. So that no, for whatever be the values, I'm not bothered what is my n value. But the only thing that I consider is from that n value onwards, my Sn is starting to converge to that particular limit S. Is that clear?
yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All these problems are that way. Understood now? See, for everything I'm finding an n where I can say this is less than epsilon. If you want, we can write this for, you can write for n equal to 1, then what is epsilon? For n equal to 2, like for what values of n it is, give what will be your epsilon value? We can start doing that, but it is very tedious. You don't have to do that all the time. You should understand in one concept and then you should do it for the other problems. All right. Is this point clear for everybody now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Anything else? Anything else? Yeah, these are our. This is all form of proof again and again. We did the same thing.
Ma'am, among these questions, there was one question where you asked in the homework question somewhere. Yeah, in this also, I couldn't get the next two bits. Like,
What didn't you get?
give me a second, sorry.
Which questions you didn't get?
Yes, ma'am, this one, 73 plus 1, that one, and the next one. And before that also, somewhere you gave minus 1 power n into n. Does not converge. Okay, you're like, I'm not able to get this minus 1 power n question. I know why minus 1 power n doesn't have a limit. So based on that, do you say that it does not converge or something?
Tell me whether this converges or not.
It doesn't, right?
What are the values for n equal to 1? I have 73 plus minus 1. That means for all, even for all n odd, I will have 73 minus 1, 72. For all
74, 72, 74, 72.
74%. Yeah, so it does not converge. It is a divergent sequence.
Okay, so such questions, do you do that whole Sn minus?
No.
You
We won't
just
do anything.
like take n
No.
equal to 1 and all of that. It does not
Yeah.
have, it has only an upper bound, lower bound. Yeah, okay,
That's
cool.
all. That's all. It has an upper bound and lower bound. It's a bounded sequence, though it does not converge.
Okay, and can you say the next one also?
What is the next one? 2 power minus n.
Yeah.
It converges and the limit is 0. 2 power minus n is what? 1 by 2 power
1
n.
by 2, yeah.
1 by 2 power n as n tends to infinity. 1 by 2 power infinity. 1 by infinity. 1 by infinity is?
Oh, it almost
0.
tends to 0. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so for all of these questions, I don't have to do the whole Sn minus S thing.
Yes, you don't have to do all that. What did I ask? I asked find the limit. When I say find the limit, you're going to do it only mathematically, numerically. If I say determine the limits and prove your claim,
Okay, then
okay,
I'll do
or
the whole.
discuss, discuss about the convergence, then you prove everything.
Okay, and
Just you all. Hmm.
can you explain any of the Sn minus n sort of questions where the question is in terms of trigonometric? Like there was one which said cos of n pi by 3 or something, or the n factorial one is of anything is fine, like Sn where they're not normal
You cannot
fractions.
find like that. No, no. You cannot find cos n pi by 3 in terms of Sn minus S.
Okay.
You cannot find like that. You have to have a proper Sn function like this. Such
Yeah.
questions you will get only to find the limit, direct limit. You cannot keep on finding those Sn minus. Theoretical proof is not so. Though if you want to write it theoretically, also you have to write cos pi by 3, cos 2 pi by 3, cos 3 pi by 3, and so on, like that. There is no, and you cannot prove that like this.
Okay, ma'am. And
Hmm.
there was some question where you're taking when you're taking the inequality in these questions. Did we you told them right? When we are taking the inequality of these few questions, somewhere we get like n is greater than 2.
Hmm.
So in one question you wrote 2 a maximum of karke you wrote.
Hmm.
I'll check and tell you. Give me
What could be the n values there? Yeah. N can be maximum of this and that. I think these questions. No?
20th 20 20k
28.
20p, yeah.
These questions won't be like that. No?
Here, this one more. This one,
Large
or
values of.
maybe the next question also. Here, you wrote somewhere maximum of 2 commas. Yeah, can you explain that part once?
Yeah, what is your n here? N is greater than root 54 by epsilon. What it see everywhere it is our observation only. There is no hard and fast rule that it has to go like this. Okay, it's everywhere our observation only. Just a second. Yeah. So, okay, in this question, yeah. So for what values of an I have n cube minus 6 is greater than or equal to n cube by 2, n cube is less than this, and n is greater than under root 54 by epsilon. So I'm choosing all these. I will consider my n to be maximum of, my n should be maximum. That is what is my intention. Always I consider n greater than or equal to capital N, right? So now I have my values of n. Small n also, I know there is certain limit for my small n also. So how did I choose that small n? I have n cube by 2 is greater than 6, n cube is greater than 12, so n can be greater than 2. How did you observe that? This is only through observation. I have this limit n cube minus 6 is greater than, I think I should tell from here. Yeah, this is all the calculation, and then I have 24 plus 3n. We have observed, see, I have to write an upper bound for the numerator and a lower bound for a denominator. Okay, So how will I write an upper bound for the numerator? 24 plus 3n must be greater than or equal to 27n, right? This is what I understood. I took the problem this way. If you want to say, ma'am, why should I write only 27 and I will write some other thing? What is an upper bound? I have to fit that properly. That means I have to start along with that particular number and then go beyond that, right? So the 3n plus 24 must be greater than or equal to 27n. Now you fit your values of 1, 2, 3 and so on and see whether it satisfies the condition for upper bound or not.
It satisfies.
It satisfies. So I consider it to be greater than 27n. Suppose I say 28n. Will it satisfy 28n?
It will.
Which one is better? Can I leave 27n and take from 28n?
No.
If I say 5 is my upper bound, can I say I will leave 5 and I say 6 is from 6 it is my upper bound, then what do you talk about 5? How do you talk about 5 there? I can't leave that, right? So you have to fit the numerator exactly in that particular field only. Okay. And the next one is n cube minus 6 is greater than or equal to n cube by 2. This is also just a trial and error. Okay. I want to have my denominator as a lower bound. That means what? Any number less than that can also be a lower bound, isn't it?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm fitting n cube by 3 less than or equal to n cube minus 6. You might ask, ma'am, why did you put n cube by 2? Why can't you take n cube by 3? Probably it might fit. I'm not sure. N cube by 3 might also fit. But will it satisfy the condition for my n cube? N cube by 3 is also lesser or equal to n cube minus 6, isn't it? But do you have any number less than that or greater than that which fits into that process of n cube, a process of being that number less than n cube minus 6 or being the number being less than my term, whatever is there in my problem? No. So I will observe this carefully and then put this is only through trial and error method. Is that clear to everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This should be true for large values of n. N cube by 2, put n equal to 1. 1 by 2 less than or equal to 1 minus 6. 1 by 2 less than or equal to 1 by 6 means what? 1 minus 6. 1 by 2, 0.5. Is it less than minus 5? No. Like that you put for 2, 3, 4. It is being true for large values of n. It will be true from here only. Okay, you cannot fit everything here. Lower bound is always like this. After certain values, it is going to be true. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So now I'll consider this n cube by 2 is greater than 6. So I'm assuming, this is my assumption, this is what I have observed, n cube by 2, right? I am observing that this is being true here like this. N cube by 2 is greater than 6. So instead of taking n cube minus 6, I'm considering it to be greater than 6. N cube is n is greater than 2. So my what values of n? My n will be maximum of whichever is the maximum, whichever is the highest, either 2 or under root 54 by epsilon. N will be taking those particular values. Even in this problem, if you observe numerator, you won't have any problem. Denominator, I again took n cube minus 6 is greater than n cube by 3. This is true only for large values of n. You will not be able to fit exactly. You will not be able to write a lower bound just like that. It only after certain n values only you will be able to write. Even if you try mix and match and do whatever you want to do, you will not be able to do that. So I have n cube by 2 is greater than or equal to 6. Now I observe. You might ask, ma'am, why did you take 6 again? It's again through perfect observation. See, I am observing 6 n cube minus 6. I took n is greater than n cube by 3. And then I say n cube by 2 is greater than 6 only through our observation. That's all. Here my n values are again between 2 and 64 by root epsilon. Understood, Mahati?
Ma'am, 12, no.
Hmm?
12 means 2 into 2 into 2.
I mean, I talk.
You will get like, I don't think I understand the 2 part. N cube is greater than or equal to 12, right? So taking
Where?
cube root of 12, right?
Where is it?
There only in the limits part. Wherever you're taking n cube minus 6. So,
Here? Yeah.
yeah, n cube by 2 is greater than or equal to 6, right? So n cube greater than or equal to 12. So you'll almost get 2 root 2, no? You're taking like the approximate value or something.
Approximate value, yeah. I'm rounding it off to a natural number.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Electronic students.
Yes, ma'am, it is clear.
Others, Jeshwant?
Yes, ma'am, it's understandable.
Understood? Yeah, Ankita, Sulagna, Lahari, Ritika, Kamesh, Shivali.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Where are we? 20. I gave this as homework. I wanted you to try. And these are the limit functions, just a normal simplification using algebra of limits. I think this is clear. Isn't it? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am. It is.
Normal algebra of limits. L hospital rules. Ganesh, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And then about the monotone convergence theorem. Is this theorem clear?
No, ma'am. Can you explain?
Why not?
Because when I didn't clearly understand convergence, I didn't even understand monotone convergence.
Okay. Now you tell me what is there in the problem. Okay, I'll scroll it up. I won't tell. I want you people to tell me what is happening. Okay. Let us work it out like this. Every monotone bounded sequence is convergent. What is monotone? A sequence which is either increasing or decreasing. Okay. Yes or no? Monotone definition is a sequence either increasing, which is either increasing or decreasing function. Isn't it? That is the definition of monotone. Yeah. So I have a monotone increasing function. When I say increasing function, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 should be there in your mind always. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it bounded below or bounded above?
Bounded below.
Yeah. So an increasing function by default is bounded below. Okay. Next. I have -1, -2, -3, -4 and so on. What kind of a function is that? -1, -2, -3, -4. Decreasing, isn't it? What, you all have problem in increasing and decreasing also?
No, ma'am, it is decreasing.
Yeah. So -1, -2, -3, -4 and so on are decreasing functions. So when I say it is decreasing function, is it bounded above or bounded below?
Bounded above.
Bounded above.
Bounded above. So by default, decreasing function is bounded above, increasing function is bounded below. This is what I have with me. Okay. Yeah. Now it is given every monotone bounded sequence is convergent. Okay. I will consider sequence SN to be increasing and bounded. Bounded means it is both upper bound and lower bound. So I said, because he said it is bounded, I will if it is bounded, that means what? It will have infimum and supremum. So I'll consider supremum of Sn is equal to u. If I say u is supremum, any number greater than that can be an upper bound, but any number less than that cannot be an upper bound. This is the concept that I have been using in the previous problems when Mati asked me. Just now I explained, right? N cube minus n cube by 3 is less than n cube minus 6. Right? I have to find an upper bound. If I say upper bound, any number greater than that can be an upper bound, but any number less than that cannot fit into the properties of upper bound. Okay, it cannot be upper bound. So I say u is an upper bound, u is a supremum, then u minus epsilon is not an upper bound. I'm very happy. U minus epsilon is not upper bound. When u minus epsilon is not upper bound, can I say u minus epsilon is less than some capital N? For some terms here. Yes or no?
Yes.
There are certain terms here where my u minus epsilon is less than those terms. Can it happen like that or not?
Yes, ma'am.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. Okay, only 7. I will say my, okay, till here I have 7. I said 7 is upper bound. I'm very happy. 7 is upper bound, u is my 7. I said u minus epsilon. So when I say u minus epsilon, here u minus epsilon, I will consider it to be 5. Right? Is my phi, this is u minus epsilon, is my phi less than any other term here? Are there terms in my sequence Sn where it is less than this? Yes, I am considering this term Sn. In fact, my phi is less than S6. Are there terms in my sequence like that which satisfy this? Yes, there are terms like this. So I say sequence Sn is increasing for all n less than or equal to n. Have you understood? Or I can say for all n greater than or equal to n for that matter, because I consider it to be an increasing sequence. So I have Sn is less than or equal to Sn. That means u minus epsilon is less than Sn. And this Sn, see this 6, is this less than 7? In my problem, is my 6 less than 7? Yes, that means 5 is less than S6 is less than S7, right? That means my 5 here with respect to the problem is less than this is less than this. This is what I wrote in the problem, in the theorem. Do you understand here?
Yes, ma'am.
The drag DS has understood that it's not hitting your brain.
No, ma'am,
No?
I understood.
Understood? Okay. So can I say my Sn is less than or equal to this? Absolutely. My S6 is definitely less than S7. So my Sn is less than or equal to Sn. So can I say u minus epsilon is less than Sn? Obviously, it is true. Therefore, supremum Sn is equal to u and Sn is less than u. Is what? Okay. First I'll conclude my u minus epsilon is less than Sn. Next step. Supremum Sn is defined as u. That means Sn is less than u. That means for epsilon greater than 0, u is definitely less than u plus epsilon, because epsilon is greater than 0. Any whatever is the epsilon that you add, it can be is greater than u only. So u is less than u plus epsilon. But what is u? Nothing but supremum of Sn. That means Sn is less than u plus epsilon. In the first statement, I have u minus epsilon less than Sn, and the second statement, I have Sn less than u plus epsilon. So Sn u minus epsilon is less than Sn is less than u plus epsilon.
Ma'am, can you once again explain this point for epsilon greater than 0, u less than u plus epsilon?
What did my statement say? It is bounded. Right? That means what? I will have supremum. Supremum of Sn, what did we assume? U. That means any Sn will be less than or equal to u, no?
Yes.
Here I said 7 is my supremum. Right? Any number less than 7 will be, any number less than 7 will, can I write Sn less than or equal to 7? 1 less than 7, 2 less than 7, 3 less than 7, 4 less than 7. Like that I can write, right? So like that I am writing, because I said Sn, supremum Sn is u, any Sn will be less than or equal to u, right? And u for epsilon greater than 0, u is less than u plus epsilon. That means Sn is also less than u plus epsilon. In the first step, I have u minus epsilon less than Sn. Here I have Sn less than u plus epsilon. So what is happening? U minus epsilon is less than Sn is less than u plus epsilon. That means this is the definition of convergence. So I'll write mod Sn minus u less than epsilon. That means limit Sn is equal to u. That means my sequence Sn is convergent. So what happened? If you consider a monotone and a bounded sequence, it is going to be convergent. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll explain this point again. Because I assumed it to be a bounded sequence, I will have supremum. Supremum Sn is equal to u. That means any Sn in my sequence should be less than or equal to u. And I have u is less than u plus epsilon, because epsilon is a positive value. So I will have Sn is less than u. Then Sn will definitely be less than, Sn is less than u only. That means what? Sn can be less than u plus epsilon also. So I have Sn is less than u plus epsilon. Already I have u minus epsilon less than Sn. So I will say u minus epsilon is less than Sn is less than u plus epsilon. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
All of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Got it, ma'am.
Yes. Somebody was talking something. Okay. So by the definition, if it falls like this, then it is going to be a convergence sequence. So the ways of writing limit or convergence is the same thing. Sn minus u minus epsilon less than Sn less than u plus epsilon is same as mod Sn minus u less than epsilon is same as limit tending to infinity. Sn is equal to u. All the three are same. All the three will define limit. All the three will define convergence. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Is that clear?
ma'am.
Yeah. And these are the problems that we have been trying to do on this. Now I think you will understand all these problems. Should I explain them or is it okay? You'll try.
One problem you explained, ma'am. Rest of them would try.
One problem I should explain.
Yes, ma'am.
That means you people are not understanding anything in the class, no?
Ma'am, the mathematical induction.
Induction, you didn't understand mathematical induction.
The AK plus, yeah, one of them. This one is also fine, root 2, 1 and 1.
Should I explain this one?
Yeah.
I should prove that the sequence is converging. Can I take up this problem normally, like mathematical analysis by taking out n common and then say n tends to infinity and so on? Can I do that problem like that? No. Can I apply the theoretical explanation of a sequence converging to certain point? No. So what next can be done here? What can I do? I can observe what is S1, S2, S3, S4, S5, S6, S100, S1000 and so on. Is it possible for us to do like that? No. Right? So I prove this using mathematical induction. Consider the first term that is given to us as S1, which is root 2, Sn plus 1 is under root 2 Sn. Write 2-3 terms in the beginning so that you will understand what is the pattern. So I wrote 2-3 terms here. I wrote S2, I wrote S3 and so on. What do you observe? Is my S1 less than S2 less than S3?
Yes, ma'am.
If S1 is less than S2 is less than S3, what kind of a sequence is it?
Increase.
Is it increasing?
Yeah.
Always keep in
Decreasing, ma'am.
mind as 1, 2,
Bounded
3.
above, ma'am.
This one. 1 is less than 2 is less than 3 is less than 4 is less than 5. So what kind of a sequence?
Decreasing.
Increasing sequence.
Yeah, so I will say my sequence Sn is increasing. So I'm assuming that it is true for n is equal to k. So I have observed that the sequence is increasing. That means the sequence is bounded below. So I will assume we prove this using mathematical induction. We assume that if 1 is less than 2, then sk is less than sk plus 1. But I have to prove this for n equal to k plus 1. So I will consider sk less than sk plus 1 and see what is my nth term or n plus 1th term that is given in the problem. So my problem is Sn plus 1 is equal to 2 under root of 2Sn. So I will remodule, rewrite the given whatever I want to write them accordingly. So I say sk is less than sk plus 1. I'm observing 2 here. I multiplied with 2. I'm observing a root. I multiplied with root. Now you see, I have under root 2Sn and I have under root 2Sk. Don't you think it is like Sk plus 1? Because here it is Sn plus 1 and here it is Sk plus 1.
Yes,
So I have Sk plus 1 is less than Sk plus 1. That means by induction, what did we prove? We proved through induction that it is true for n is equal to k plus 1. What did you prove? You know that I will write for 1, I will write S1 less than S2, S2 less than S3, S3 less than S4, S4 less than S5, and so on, isn't it? But is it possible like that for us to prove for any value of k? No. So we apply induction. Okay. Next. My next one is, I am happy that I proved it for by induction for that Sn is less than Sn plus 1. That means what did I conclude? I conclude that the sequence Sn is increasing sequence. If the sequence Sn is increasing sequence, then how is the sequence? It is bounded below. But I want to prove that the sequence is convergent. So what is that I have to apply? I'll apply monotone convergence theorem. What does the theorem say? The theorem says the sequence has to be monotone and it should be bounded. Only then it can be convergent. So I have increasing sequence and the sequence is bounded below. I have to prove that it is bounded above also. Only then I will say it will converge. So now my next aim is to prove that the sequence is bounded above. So how do I prove that it is bounded above? What is bounded above? Sn must be less than or equal to some k, then I call the sequence to be bounded above. By the definition of bounded above only, bounded aboveness. So I'll say Sn is equal to root 2, which is less than 2. Again, you might ask, ma'am, where did you get 2? Why didn't you not take 3? Why didn't you not take 1 by 2? Because in the problem, they have given us that proof that it is converging to 2. Okay. So I say S1 is equal to root 2, which is less than 2. S2 is under root of 2 root 2, which is again less than 2. You calculate like this for 3, 4, 5, and so on. Again, I am understanding that everywhere I observe that my S1, S2, S3, S4, and so on are all converging, are all less than 2. But how do I tell them? How do I prove? Only through mathematical induction. Again, assume that it is true for Sk less than 2. Now you have to prove that it is true for n is equal to k plus 1. So I have Sk less than 2. Again, I observe my Sn plus 1th term is given as Sn plus 1 is equal to under root 2 Sn. So I have Sk less than 2. So 2 Sk is less than 4. And then I applied root and then I observe that it is of my Sn plus 1th form. But instead of Sn plus 1, I have Sk plus 1 less than 2. That means you are proving that this is true for any value of n when n is equal to k plus 1. So what is my understanding? Sn is less than 2. If Sn is less than 2, nth term in the sequence is less than 2, that means what? It is bounded above. So it is bound, it is an increasing sequence. It is bounded below. It is bounded above. Therefore, my sequence Sn is bounded. Right? Hence, I can write this also. I can write bounded above and sequence and hence sequence Sn is bounded. Therefore, by monotone convergent theorem, sequence Sn is convergent. Now I want to prove that the limit of sequence Sn is equal to 2. We already did some problems where I had limit Sn is equal to s, then limit of Sn plus 1 is also equal to s. So I considered the reconciliation that is given to us. Sn plus 1 is equal to under root 2 Sn. So I applied limit on both sides. Sn plus 1, limit Sn plus 1, limit root 2, limit root Sn. This value is s, this value is s. You have an quadratic equation, simplify and take. How will you take this? I have s is equal to 0 and s is equal to 2. Can s be 0? Where my first sequence in the first term in the sequence is root 2. That means my first term itself is root 2. Can I put 0? Fit 0 anywhere? No. Therefore, my sequence is converging to 2. Is that clear to everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Who is that? No.
Me, Ritika, ma'am.
ఏమైంది మళ్ళీ
Why
చెప్పు
are
ఎక్కడ
we taking 2?
వినలేదా? My sequence is starting from root 2. ఇలా ఉంది నా సీక్వెన్స్.
Okay, it is
Can
a
I put-
continuation of the same sum. Sorry, ma'am. Yeah, I understood.
It's a continuation of the same sum.
Okay, yes, ma'am, I understood.
Okay, na? So you can't put 0 there. అంతే. Okay, so all the problems are the same problems. 8 ఉన్నారా? ఎవరో ఇద్దరు వెళ్ళిపోయారు?
Ma'am, could you explain this one theorem? If limit exists, it is unique. And the next one also, every convergent is bounded. Every convergent sequence is bounded. It's, I'll tell you the date.
అర్థం అవ్వలేదా? ఏం అర్థం అవ్వలేదు చెప్పు ఈ థియరంలో. వాట్ ఈస్ దట్ యూనిక్?
In the limit of the sequence, if exists is unique, you're taking Sn has two limits. And then you're writing that Sn minus S is less than E by 2, Sn minus T is less than E by 2. Then later, again, like it contradicts its own statement, something like that we'll get. No, why are you writing E by 2? How are you getting that E by 2?
You can write E also.
Okay, but when we are adding, we'll get 2E at that time.
అంతే 2E less and because we are used to seeing a definition as mod Sn minus S less than epsilon. Okay,
Yeah.
that is why I kept E by 2.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can take E only. It's okay. You can take that. Doesn't matter at all. Only thing is we are defining it like that, so I'm taking epsilon. It doesn't make much difference. Is less than E, definitely less than 2 epsilon also. Obvious, no? You take 100 epsilon also, it will be less than that. But it is fine. It is okay. You can consider it like that.
Okay, and in the every convergence sequence is bounded. After we take Sn is equal to S and equal to 1, we get like a relation. Then we are writing again that max function. I couldn't understand the max. I understood in the alternative proof also we have like the max function. That also I'm having some trouble.
Where did I teach that? Which date?
23rd, I guess. Yeah, in this alternative proof and this one also maximum. Yeah. After that relation, you're just taking the greater than part, dot, the lesser than part. I couldn't understand after that thing.
Mod Sn is less than mod Sn plus 1. Right? Even in the problems there, I told that n is greater than 2 and some 8 by root epsilon there. Right? Even here I have Sn less than mod S plus 1 for all n greater than or equal to n. So now to fit into this, I want my m to be, I don't want any m randomly just like that. I want my m to be maximum of all those numbers which are mod Sn less than that particular number. Okay, I want m to be maximum of all those numbers. Then only I can say it is a bounded sequence. Then only I can say mod Sn is less than or equal to m. If I have any number less than m, will it be a bounded sequence? Suppose I have m minus 1. Okay, suppose I had some other number m minus 1. For example, I have mod Sn less than or equal to m minus 1. Will it satisfy the condition for being a bounded sequence? It will not satisfy, no, because I am left with one more number after that. I have one more. I have m minus 1 and I have m. So which number should I take to prove the boundedness? Maximum number.
Maximum, yeah.
That's what I'm writing there. I'm saying that there could be a maximum of, I want my m to be so specific so that I will not miss out the property of boundedness. If I don't write the statement, then you will only come back and ask, ma'am, what will you do if I have any number greater than this here?
Yeah. Okay.
Will you ask me or not? I say mod Sn is less than or equal to 5. Okay. Then I said maximum of, what I mean to say here is, for a small example, again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I will say mod Sn is less than or equal to 5, where 5 is maximum of all these numbers that I have. Okay, maximum of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, if I don't write that, you might ask me, ma'am, why did you write this 5 here? If I say mod Sn is less than or equal to 4 for some m value, then so what will happen if I have any number greater than that in that particular set or above that set?
Yeah,
Yes
yeah.
or no?
Yeah.
Will it satisfy this condition? Then is this condition true for me?
Yeah.
For this problem, is my condition true here? Is my mod Sn less than or equal to 4 is true? No. I should say this number, whatever I'm putting here, should be maximum of all the values that are there in my sequence. Okay, so that is why I'm writing it like that. I will say mod Sn less than 1. Somebody will say mod Sn less than 1. I will say mod Sn less than 2. Then I will say, some other people will say mod Sn less than 3, mod Sn less than 4. Somebody will say mod Sn less than 5. Is it not true for 1? Yes, it is true. For 2? Yes, it is true. 3, is it true? Yes. 4, is it true? Yes. But how? Till where is it true like that? It is true only for S1. It is true only mod S1, mod S less than 1 is true only for 1. Mod S less than 2 is true only for 1 and 2. Mod S less than 3 is only true for 1, 2, 3. Mod S is less than 4 is only true for 1, 2, 3, 4. Mod S less than 5 is only true for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which
So you're
one is
taking
correct
the
now?
maximum,
Yeah.
fifth one, you're taking the maximum of the whole sequence. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Understood? Have you
Yes,
understood?
ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah. Any more doubts? Which two people left? I had Divyanshi. ठीक है